that gets a little bit difficult. So, again, thanks for jumping in with us here. Tyler Reiss, Jeremy Welter, North Star Pro Realty. We're actually on our way to a new listing prep right now. It is to get some measurements and get some initial information data that hasn't been on the MLS in a really, really long time. Or actually, I don't think it has been at all.
It's never been on
the
MLS.
So, doing our due diligence, but headed over to Brooklyn Park area. But we'd like to take some of this time to kind of discuss different areas that we work and kind of the hurdles that sometimes home purchasers or sellers, and I would definitely say agents that are not professional in a manner of knowing what they're doing, can encounter. Now, you've got a unique background. You're part of the planning commission for the city of Buffalo.
Yep.
But also more relevant to us in real estate is you've recently had some deals in small townships that are maybe dealing with a little bit more unique requirements or restrictions than city of Buffalo proper has. So tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, where a lot of it spurs is, I'm sure you've been asked this, where do you work?
Yeah.
And people are sometimes surprised when my response is usually anywhere in Minnesota. If it's got a Minnesota address, I can effectively, legally sell real estate or buy real estate. And, then I start listing off some of the cities that I've worked in. And I mean, from the Minnesota-Canadian border all the way to the Iowa-Minnesota border and South Dakota, you name it. So, again.
What's the farthest north that you've let's go at least shown property, because even if they didn't buy it.
So it's kind of either Cook, Minnesota or Baudette. I think Baudette's
Baudette's way up. Yeah.
Baudette's a little bit further north. So that's probably the furthest north that I've been.
That is the Canadian border.
Yes. I could see Canada from the housetop that we were looking at. But, being a quote-unquote expert in the area that you're working in, I still believe in that. But you can work with a professional realtor who's good at gathering information to become as good of an expert in that area as possible.
Asking the right questions, effectively being able to communicate with local units of government,
Correct.
The township, all of that.
Correct.
So,
when you're working in some of these northern communities, even around the Wright County area, Sherburne County, you're working with townships and municipalities that are kind of the local governing bodies. And when you're talking about properties with acreage or lakeshore, different zoning requirements, a lot of our buyers, when they're looking outstate Minnesota, it's usually a recreational property. Mm-hmm. They live here, they want to go there, it's their cabin or it's their hunting land or their retreat, and they want to be able to do certain things to that land or that property.
Give us an example.
So building a shed, that's a very common one. Hey, I want this cabin, but I want to build a shed. Or, this property has 40 acres. Eventually, I'd like to build a guest house or a secondary house or something of that nature. Can we do that? And that's going to determine whether they move forward with that purchase or not. So, where do you go to get those answers and understanding how to navigate that process? Because again, sometimes it's governed by the county. Sometimes it's the city municipality. Sometimes it's a township within the city municipality, and sometimes it's a partnership between a township committee and the county, the governing county that has jurisdiction. And sometimes it's all three of them. I've had one property where the county oversees the water and septic, or the well and septic, whereas the township oversees the building code and building rights and what they can do with that parcel of land. So
my favorite is, if you're going to purchase something, you're like, gosh, I don't know if you'd be able to redo this property the way it's been done, but it's been like that for 50 years. Like some of these communities, they were built up with no rules.
Yep.
And again, what's the liability of purchasing it and everything like that. Typically they've, the grandfather rule.
Yep.
That's not written in stone, but hey, it's already standing here, and I'm not aware of any, except in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, but that was a completely failure of everybody involved, of tearing down like a $3 million house, a new constructed house, tearing it down. But anyway, nobody's really coming back after you to say, oh, you bought this, even though you bought it as is. I'm not aware of any examples that are like, hey, nope, you have to tear this, auxiliary shed down that was here for the last 40 years. It's changed hands multiple times because it wasn't permitted. But I mean, it is stuff to be aware of. I mean, it's like, well, it doesn't fit the current code. If you want to try and change it, you might have to jump through some hoops.
The only thing that I've seen that kind of fits into that category is, you buy some land. It's got a main structure on it, the dwelling, the house with living quarters, and let's say there's a couple outbuildings, and one of those outbuildings has a kitchenette and a bathroom and a quote unquote bedroom. Something that's legally classified as a bedroom. At the point of sale, the governing body, whether it's the city or the county, can come in and say, hey, we're not going to make you tear this building down, but you have to make it comply with code, and you can't have two building entitlements on this property. And what they mean by that is living quarters.
Yeah.
So you can have this shed, but we're going to require you to only have 2 or 3 plumbing fixtures in that secondary building, which means you've got to take out one of the ones that are in there, whether it's a sink or a toilet or a shower or whatever it is. And you can't have legal sleeping quarters. So that could be as simple as removing the door from the bedroom. Because Minnesota code, this sounds weird. So everybody thinks that you got to have a closet.
Yeah, not true.
You don't. It's a minimum of 70 square feet.
10 by 7.
One wall being at least 10 feet. And it has to be, you have to have a privacy, a way of making it private. So you have to have a door that's not transparent or that you can't see through.
Yeah. Well, egress window as well.
Egress, sorry. Yes, egress.
Yep. Heat source.
Heat source, ventilation. Yep.
Yep.
But if you remove the door from there, it's no longer classified as a bedroom.
Yeah. So again, it is it sounds super silly, but again, when you have to be an expert in the area that you're working, it is also, the dirt that we sell is it can be in different locations. When we say we're qualified to work in all of Minnesota, it's, are we good at communicating with other agents in that area? But most importantly is like, can we ask the right questions and to help navigate, to limit any type of risk or liability in the future for our buyers and sellers. And, that's what we do. And I think you do a really, really good job about that. A recent one that unfortunately fell apart simply because, boy, we threw so many cupcakes on the wall and none of them stuck. But it was a manufactured home built before 1976. Yep. So tell us something a little bit about that, because you do see that in outstate Minnesota.
Correct. So I was working with the buyer on this property, and it was a property that needed work. That's what they wanted. We went into this transaction knowing that the septic needs to be replaced. Buyer was willing to take that responsibility on, that cost on, but through the process of getting that design made, basically doing our due diligence of the property, we got the new location, we got the new septic system designed. We also found out in that process that the county was going to require a new well, because the existing well was a shallow sandpoint well in the center of the home, which when it was first built in 1971 was fine.
Yep. And for all intents and purposes, it was still pumping water.
Correct. It was still pumping water. Everything was working as it should.
Just no longer met code.
Correct. It didn't meet state code for drinking water. The state really is enforcing deep wells. So that came up. Okay, we remedied that. We had some discussion with the seller side, like, okay, we've got this additional cost that needs to be done. We're not going to get a certificate of compliance on our new septic system without the new well being installed. So they have to be done at the same time. And that was just some additional hoops and hurdles, and we were talking with the state of Minnesota on grants and opportunities to get the well installed, and then we're working with the county who oversees the septic side of things on grants and scholarships and stuff for that. So we get through all that, and okay, fine, we're going to proceed. And then came kind of the hidden and final dagger where it was a done deal, is the effective age of the manufactured home was prior to 1976. So in lending, your main lending products ultimately, for the most part, end up being serviced by Freddie Mac or Fannie Mae. They will not honor any mortgages for manufactured homes with an effective date prior to 1976.
Yeah.
And so it didn't work. There's other ways of securing financing for that, but it just didn't work for my buyer in that situation.
Yeah.
But again, knowing who to talk to, again, you have a short period. We had a 7-day inspection period window. It's very crucial to know who to talk to get the right answers so you can inform your clients on what you want to do.
Yeah. And, where I think you knocked it out of the park is you didn't leave any stones unturned. It was literally the end of the road. You tried. The buyer tried. Even the seller wanted to work with it. I mean,
100%.
But it just couldn't happen inside the parameters of it. And again, those are the right things to try and navigate and have a good one and having a good agent on your side. I couldn't imagine if somebody was not skilled in this or completely unbeknownst, is like, you could get yourself into some serious legal trouble at that point.
Legal trouble, and then the expense of the buyer. In order, they very well could have bought a property that would require tens of thousands of dollars above what they were prepared for or thought that they were going to need.
Yeah.
And that was before they even began any of the interior remodeling that they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Well,
this is where I'll do the star swipe and say, the more you know, to coin a phrase. I hope compliance doesn't get after us on that one. So, all right, thanks for sticking with us. Go ahead and go to NorthstarProRealty.com. Any one of our agents will be a great service to you. Look forward to having that next conversation.